let me paint a picture for you. You're an ancient civilization.
Damn right I am.
No, I'm sorry.
The metaphor builds itself.
You're an advanced
I got to
civilization.
see all the good bands, man.
Welcome to the Beacon House Podcast, recorded live in Knoxville, Tennessee.
You know, Christian Bale getting super thin really gives me hope that my condition will get better. I don't have to be as fat as I need to be this year. That machinist picture, I'm just like, I want to be that.
Amen.
I want to be Hunter size.
An apple
you
and
see
a
that
cigarette
movie?
a day.
Huh?
Did you see the movie?
No, I haven't seen the machinist.
You've not seen The
So
Machinist?
you'd love
No.
it. It's so good.
That's insane that you're a fan of him, and a lot of people consider that his most extreme role.
I can guarantee it's probably his most extreme.
A lot of
because he
people have
lost-
opinions. Yeah.
especially going from that to being Dick Cheney on Vice.
That was also not makeup. He just got fat.
He just got fat. He also got fat for that one movie that he.
Yep.
What was like that '80s movie?
Yeah, where he had that bad comb over.
Yeah.
God, I can't-
American Hustle.
American Hustle,
which was fantastic.
Yeah, haven't
Good
seen
movie.
it.
Well, anyway, whether you're skinny or whether you're fat, welcome to Beacon House.
Welcome back.
Welcome back out of the year 2020.
Beacon House.
And we hope you guys made it out of 2020 and into 2021.
This year.
And if you didn't, you're not listening anyway. So
Oh, no.
You have nothing to feel bad about.
if you didn't make it out of 2020, God rest your soul.
Like kids in a really good horror movie.
So we're here with a new year and a new attitude, and Hunter has a new haircut. Tell us about you've got your hair's all one length all of a sudden.
Yeah.
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 You
It
got all
is.
your split ends cut off. I see.
Yeah, I woke up one day and I said,
Buzz cuts for COVID.
Is this a new charity you're doing?
He wanted to look like Chester Bennington a little more.
I'm not going
Ooh,
to say it.
ouch. Sting.
That's not a sting. I take that as a compliment.
That's good.
I've been told that by a few people
Yeah, you
already.
look like death.
Have you really?
Yeah.
I disagree. I think you look fine.
You do.
Thanks.
You look great.
Thanks.
So, new year, new
It's
Beacon
my
House.
life.
How do we even move away from 2020? What do you guys think?
One step at a time.
Do we move away or
In
do
the right
we,
direction.
Do we tie up unfinished business?
No, fuck 2020.
What about the pandemic?
never happened.
Pandemic's,
What pande-
pandemic's still happening.
Nope, never happened.
2020 is the year that
Take your
Godzilla
mask
versus Kong got delayed twice. Okay, it's gone. We're not doing this.
When is it actually coming out? I know you're
if they
mad.
don't push it again, May.
Fuck.
On
Yeah.
HBO Max for
Are you
no
mad-
extra charge.
Oh wow. Okay. Jesus.
Which is its fourth release date, by the way. So let's just,
Guys,
let's hope.
Guys, go outside, take
Yeah.
your mask off, and like really breathe in the air of your sick friend. Just let's all come on, come together now. Smile on me, brother. Cough on me, brother. Everybody get together and try to love one another right now. You know?
oh man,
Yeah.
we've
You ever notice
was
asparagus
unrelated.
makes your pee smell weird?
Yeah. I know people that eat it just for that reason.
Why? They like the smell?
Yep.
Ew.
That's true.
I do know when I drink too much coffee, my pee smells like Sugar Smacks. But we'll digress. 2020.
Whoa.
my pee
What?
smells like that. I'm usually unconscious in the hospital.
What just happened?
Your blood sludge.
yeah,
God, I hate
the
to see.
syrup's not flowing.
I would hate
anymore.
to see like one of your blood cells under a microscope. Like it's probably vaping.
It's actually Aunt Jemima real pissed that they kicked her out. That's all it is.
It's one of those things where like his blood cells are like the angsty teen. Like Hunter's blood, he's like, please behave, and it's like, shut up, dad.
Yeah.
And like farts in his,
My blood cells unironically wear beanies and blast music I don't like really loud.
they wear masks and paint their fingernails and color on their hands.
Yep.
Yeah.
Heavens.
Glad I was never like that.
Well, guys, I tell you, there's one thing that I wanted to talk about. And we used to talk about stuff like this a lot. We used to talk about like unexplained phenomenon, mysterious stuff like aliens,
UFOs?
and monsters, and that kind of stuff, like the supernatural. Like really fun stuff like that. But until the scariest, most horrifying thing to talk about became the world we live in.
Yeah, I know Trump.
Yeah.
Biden getting elected. Ugh.
But going back to
Beautiful.
that, you guys might remember amongst the media onslaught of all the crap that was thrown at us through social media and other various sources.
This is why you're bringing this up.
Well, several things slid by last year.
Yep. I'm so on board with where you're going.
And one of them first was these, like the CIA declassified all these records and videos of unidentified flying objects. they didn't specifically say these are aliens. Early in the year, they declassified them, and that became public knowledge. People cared for about 34 seconds. Then they went back to
there was other stuff going on. Yeah.
Right. Then they went back to complaining about bleach or whatever. Then, a little bit later in the year, they came out, and then they had people from like the I don't know, like the astronaut, like NASA and stuff were going, okay,
The space place?
definitely not man-made objects. These are definitely not from Earth, but we're following them with the plane, and we have videos of them, and nobody cared.
Yeah.
So they didn't necessarily say these are aliens. They just said not made by man. But what's the third? Is there another choice?
Animals. Have you seen Planet of the Apes?
That's true.
Well, I think when our government says not made by man, they're saying that we didn't hand make it. So I don't know, because it's still saying made by hand means that other countries
So
didn't
a
make
few
it.
weeks ago, have you guys heard of?
Well, I want to know this before you go any further.
Okay.
Have they declassified what happened at that telescope, that laboratory?
No, but you were talking about that, where they raided that observatory.
Yeah, we talked about
whole
it, and
military.
they said, the military.
Yeah.
There's black SUVs, there's helicopters, no one could go in and out.
Yep.
And they said it was all because the janitor had
Pedo laptop.
had a pedo laptop. Bullshit. They saw something.
I don't know. You could go digging for that. But usually the stuff that gets declassified has been around for like 30 years.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
hits some sort of a thing where they have to declassify it, or people just don't care anymore. Or we've seen enough movies to where the stuff in the report doesn't look surprising or whatever. A lot of people believe that they have a thing called cushioning the impact.
Yeah.
Like this has all been going on for a long time, and they've known about it since the 40s or 50s. And that's why you start to see Close Encounters of the Third Kind and Independence Day and all the space movies, just to kind of get people used to the idea of there being something else in the universe besides us. But that's a big deal.
It is, but I know you're going somewhere, but just quickly, I don't remember who they are, so you guys will have to Google it. But like in the last month or two, different operatives that are like decorated military operatives, as far as like aerospace and space dynamics and things like that, from multiple countries, including our own, and I think one was Israel or something like that. But they've been like 3 or 4 dudes that are like in their upper 80s that have nothing to gain at this point by talking about it, since that stuff is declassified, that have come out and explicitly said it is extraterrestrial. But the thing is, mainstream media on both sides doesn't cover that, and the people that do, even though they're respectful of it and point out they have nothing to gain and they know what they're talking about, nobody cares because it's an old fart.
Well, and
Of it, like, which is sad, but
the thing is the main media covering it wouldn't do much except cause mass panic.
yeah, because otherwise no one will tune in.
Well, but then you have people, for some reason, here's something I don't understand. Some people believe that if they clarify that extraterrestrials exist, that beings from another planet, from a different galaxy, have visited our planet, somehow negates all religious belief. It says that all of it's fake and none of
Yeah,
it,
absurd.
which is absurd. It doesn't. That is our history and our religion. It has nothing to do with someone else visiting our planet.
Yep.
But for some reason, the government and a lot of people claim that the Vatican keeps a lot of those things under wraps because they
Wholeheartedly
don't
believe it does.
Yeah, because they think that letting this information out would somehow destroy Christianity
But
or like Judaism.
To be fair, a lot of Christians think that too.
No, but that's what he's talking
That's
about.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's an absurd mindset to have.
I was going to ask.
If there's a creator
That was-
God, then why would we be the only thing that he created?
A lot of
we
people,
could be the favorite thing.
A lot of people think that the
Not the
Bible.
only.
A lot of people think that the Bible insinuates that we are the only life in the universe. I'm not saying I do, and in fact, C.S. Lewis, who's my favorite guy, was widely criticized for his idea that there are probably lots of other life in the universe, and that it isn't contrary to religious beliefs or anything like that. But he also pointed out that the only one that we get told about is us.
Yeah.
Because
So
it's the
he was
only
kind of
one we
like,
should
yeah,
worry
it's
about.
maybe out there, but you need to worry about yourself. That was kind of his whole thing. But he
Yeah.
was never like, not. He wrote all kinds of like space fiction. One of the books that I got you know.
Yeah.
And he was really into that stuff. But he took a lot of shit because he was a member of like the really, really hierarchical theology people at like Oxford and Cambridge University and stuff. So for him to be writing things like the Chronicles of Narnia and the Space Trilogy or whatever like that, like his religious peers really, really shit on him for that. And that's why he hung out with guys like Tolkien in pubs, like having a pint and a cigar and like coming up with all this fantastic literature rather than in the stuffy theological dungeon of like Oxford University. But I was going to ask, what do you guys feel like that? You feel like there could be other civilizations? And
100%.
Absolutely.
okay,
Look at
I don't think it affects us at all.
No, it
like,
doesn't.
Like they may come and try to attack us, but at that point, we need to be. We need to make more technological advances in our society. Period. But if it becomes to be told that we have neighbors in different galaxies and they're able to travel through space to our planet so quickly, more than anything, we probably should be rubbing elbows with those people and be like, "How do you do that?"
Have you guys seen the series on Netflix about alien worlds?
No.
I started it. The first episode's awesome.
It's neat. It's
with the like little
I don't know.
the amoeba things that fly through the air. Have you not?
I skipped to like one episode, but the idea
gotcha,
is
okay.
it's based on the biology of real biology from Earth about how things might deal with like low carbon
Extrapolated by the biology we know exists in places like Saturn.
or Europa or something
Yeah.
like that. So from what we know about the Europa, like the chemical compounds in the atmosphere, if something lived there, it would have to be like this, according to how things survive on Earth, blah, blah, blah. But it's real fascinating. But that's exactly it. Like,
Yeah.
And they have a guy, the reason I brought that up, I was just going somewhere. Casey, you just said that like if there is life on other planets somewhere, we should probably try to be friends with it. And a guy, a very famous guy that a lot of people look to, Neil deGrasse Tyson, said that if there is life elsewhere in the universe, we better not come in contact with it because it will probably be out to kill us. And he said just everything that you've seen, life overtakes other life. So if there is other life, we're probably screwed if it finds us.
that satellite with all of our best things on it.
Yeah, or something. But in this new Netflix series about alien worlds or whatever, they have a scientist on there who says the exact opposite. He says we've been projecting proof or evidence of our existence for billions of years from our planet. We've not made any attempt to hide from anybody. And since the last 200 years, we've been broadcasting radio frequencies and microwave frequencies and everything. So we're definitely not trying to hide, and nothing's come to get us yet.
Well, it might be that those. So here's the thing.
What do you guys think? Do you think the aliens are bad or good, or?
Well, no, it's not bad or good. What if it's one of those things that
If one of them probes your anus, it's bad.
well,
Bad-
depending
bad-
on how you lean,
depending on how the probe feels.
well, no, depending on how your sexual orientation, which way it flies.
Well, whoa! What if they're just looking for a polyp? You turned that into a gay joke. You're horribly insensitive.
Am I?
You're sexually insensitive.
Sorry. Well, I feel like whatever you choose, whatever
any-
tickles your fancy.
If there's any, a fancy, I see.
Yeah, we don't. Oh God,
If
we
there's
don't
any
yuck
aliens
yums here.
if there's aliens listening to this, gaylians,
Galians.
they're not going to come to Earth anymore.
That's fine.
Anyway,
Not because they're gay. God, this has become the worst.
Because they're aliens.
gaylians.
Yeah. So, anyways, what if
We should build a wall
aliens
around the
don't
planet.
know what radio frequencies are? What if they have a completely different science for picking up signals and sending out signals, and so they're not even thinking about looking for radio frequencies that we're sending out?
Yeah, that's a possibility. I
We-
think,
we
I
could
think what
be-
people will assume is that just based on the laws of the universe, like things that can travel through the universe, like even on the sun, they have sonic waves.
Yeah.
Those are consistent throughout space and time, you
Yeah.
know? So they probably assume that if a civilization is advanced, that they probably have something. It may not be the same radio we have, but something that would pick up a radioactive frequency.
Yeah.
So they probably assume that they would be able to detect it somehow.
But that's
I
a
mean-
false equivalency because we live in a universe where man born from woman can create a black hole and control it.
But also think about if you heard a radio frequency and you're an advanced civilization, you find a radio frequency, you get into your
you
spaceship.
just said something really shitty, didn't you? That went by. You said man from woman controls a black hole. Stop it.
No, it's true.
Stop it. You are sexually insensitive.
No.
You're let me paint a picture for you. You're an ancient civilization.
Damn right I am.
Or no, I'm sorry.
The metaphor builds itself.
You're an advanced
I got to
civilization.
see all the good bands, man.
You're an advanced civilization. You have spaceships. You have all this technology. Your technology is far superior than anything you've seen in our galaxy. You know other civilizations exist in other galaxies and other planets, but when you go to travel to those places, it's nothing but war, poverty, hate, blowing each other up, violence. Why would you even stop to possibly communicate with those people?
Which brings me, that's a fantastic question, which brings me to the next thing I was going to bring up. Have you guys heard of, you've probably not heard of him, but you've probably heard of what he did. And we may have even touched on this in a recent episode, kind of barely, just
Gently touched.
gently touched, near the tip.
right in the black hole.
Do you know who Chaim
That's what I was going to bring up. That's the
Eshud?
Israeli dude I was
Hyman?
talking about.
Hyman Eshud?
Yeah.
So I'm going to let you.
Heimlich
Did you find the
maneuver.
hymen?
I'm going to let you talk about this guy.
Okay.
But go on. You take
Okay, so like 88, 89-year-old Israeli space. I can't remember the thing. But
He was okay, let me tell you. I'll give you a little background on the, because a lot of people,
Did something break him?
a lot of people
something
said,
broke in me.
a lot of people said, oh, the guy's crazy. He's senile. He's old. Turns out he's actually a decorated Israeli general.
Multiple times.
He's been, he's highly decorated Israeli general, former security chief of the space
That's
program.
What, yes.
And also has been awarded medals 3 times.
2 of which were for clandestine operations, so
they had
not
to
really
post-
public at the time.
Not public at the time. So,
Yeah.
super high clearance guy.
Yeah, with all kinds of
All kinds.
access and well trusted amongst
Yeah.
government officials, well respected amongst the people that served under him. And the one problem he has now is he's really old, so people go, eh. The thing that made me believe...
The guy has almost no reason for anyone to question his credibility.
Yeah.
Have you heard about this guy, Casey? Okay.
So you're going to love this. He said that there's underground bases on Mars that we know about. And if you think of the multiple right-angled structures that exist that we can see with satellites, it kind of explains those. But he said that
Also, they've been saying that for years with in concerns to the Philadelphia and the Montauk Project.
Yeah.
Had a lot to do with things going on Mars, and this is not new. This is
it would explain the interdimensional
60.
phasing. that
This is
happened.
60-year-old conspiracy stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
But he said there's an underground base on Mars that human individuals are taken there for experimentation, and between multiple governments, specifically the U.S. government was of note, the aliens have signed a contract with us where they're allowed to do experiments here, and that Trump was about to actually out them when he found out about it, and I don't know.
They had to shut him up.
They had to shut him up.
Yeah, the guy basically said...
Think about Space Force. He took office and immediately went, we need to go to the stars.
Yeah. Yeah. He claims that there is a actual... And this got a lot of people made fun of this on the news.
Of course they did.
But this story was run on like ABC, NBC, like big news stations, which again, after 2020, nothing has any credibility, but it wasn't just like Huffington Post or something. Excuse me. But he claims that there is an actual galactic federation that has signed a pact with the United States so that, and I didn't hear that they were doing experiments, just that they were working together with...
No, experiments here, sorry. They
Okay.
weren't experimenting on people. I misspoke there.
but they were working with all the governments of the world and all this kind of stuff until people were ready for the news of their existence. And it's apparently been going on for years and years and years. All the world leaders know about it. Trump knew about it. And Trump was the first guy who actually was going to go public with it because he's crazy.
Well, he wanted to be that guy.
Or he wanted to be that guy. And apparently
yeah.
they stepped in, and I don't know if like an alien visited him and was like, hey, motherfucker. You know, like, hey, Joey Cabone coming, you know, we're going to keep we're button the lip there. But
How come? What is it? Is this Japanese scientist thing all over again?
this could be the guy, the Japanese scientist. But he
The
claims
Israeli-
there's underground bases on
Yeah.
Mars, and that there are already like
Humans that live there.
Humans that live there with the aliens. Anyway, the guy said a bunch of like pretty crazy stuff, but he has no history of
reason
mental
to.
illness, and he's a very high decorated general. Okay, so that
Why
came
dismiss
out.
it? Because he's old. That's what everyone said.
Yeah, and it was on the news for just like a second. But also, there's a Harvard professor of astronomy. His name is Avi Loeb. He's putting out a book right now where he's talking about the existence of extraterrestrial life and that we've known about it for a long time. And he says that the very first object that proves this is that thing. Do you guys know about that thing that came into the solar system? It's called like...
The tick?
I
Tic-tac?
think it's called Uama. Oh my God!
Is it the
Oumuamua?
Is it the long asteroid?
The long thing, and it was the
Oh,
first
yeah, that was last year, wasn't it? Or 2 years ago?
last year.
Yeah.
First interstellar object. I think it was last year, but it's the first interstellar object to come into our solar system ever.
Yeah.
That's big, not just a piece of like junk floating through our solar system. And you got to think most of the asteroids. And
It behaved
stuff,
independently, though, right? Wasn't
It
that
dropped
the
off
thing?
COVID and then left.
Yeah, it could have.
Oh, my God.
But
yeah.
it came from outside the Milky Way, or our solar system, our current solar system here, and it did not behave according to gravity. Like it didn't circulate the sun.
It did
or
what it wanted. Yeah.
It moved away from the sun and towards it and back, and they've got pictures of it, and it did all these things, and it kind of just looked like a rock. But the big thing, according to this Harvard guy, is that it was completely independent of like all the laws of physics in our solar system, like their planets and how things move And he goes, clearly extraterrestrial, according to this guy. And he has a book. It says First Signs of Intelligent Life Beyond Earth. Harvard professor, this guy. Not some quack job at the fucking stab and grab that's out there like the world's ending. This is a professor. We got decorated general and professor both this year. Like, look, aliens are fucking real, y'all. He says it would put us in perspective. If we are not alone, then are we the smartest kids on the block? If there was
Not even close.
If there was a species, well, we already think we are. That's the idea. It would sort of put us in perspective in the universe.
It might help unify the world.
We'd be a third world planet.
God,
he says,
we are. We so are.
if there was a species that eliminated itself through war, changing climate, we could get our act together and behave better. Instead, we are wasting a lot of resources on Earth, fighting each other and other negative things that are a big waste. That guy. So these are two possibly not crazy people. Then there was the whole Bob Lazar thing. A lot of people would say Bob Lazar is a moron. But
you're saying that they're respected people that have only reason to know what they're talking about and no reason to disbelieve, that are saying that we could actually find our better angels and stop doing what we're doing that the top 1% profits off of.
Doesn't make it true.
The people controlling the media.
But yes, people are saying that.
Well, doesn't it make sense that they would like squash that then?
It's weird to me because they haven't squashed it totally. You actually saw it on the news. You can Google it right now.
Well, because denial causes people to believe. But like if Jeff Bezos actually concedes the power that he has, how is he going to keep his lights on if we don't let him like run indentured servants in the warehouses? I know he's a rich guy, but like he's got to pay his bills too, right? Right?
Does he? Does he have bills?
Well, I mean,
I feel like at that point he owns all the electrical companies.
Well, isn't that how money works?
Yeah, okay. I don't know. But regardless, what are you guys at on all that? Where's this whole alien perspective
I'm
thing?
for it. I mean, for the longest time, a lot of people, like you would say nut jobs. Dan Aykroyd's one of them with his Crystal Skull vodka ads. But a lot of people believe that our planet is in the middle of a tug of war between two existing extraterrestrial races who want the Earth for some reason. And they're in like this tug of war, and none of them. It's like a stalemate. No, I don't think it's that, but it's like it's a stalemate, and neither of them are allowed to go to Earth. But some of them still send like recon and like look to see what we're doing and what we're up to, and it's been happening for years and years, and that's why you have alien ships crashing. You find like weird
the triangle ships and the discs,
strange lights in the sky.
Yeah.
Didn't that happen, by the way? Tell me, not the thing I sent you guys that just freaked me out, but wasn't there like broad daylight footage of one of those triangle crafts like 2 weeks ago or something?
Is that the thing you sent to us?
No.
Because that was very much CGI.
Yeah, unrelated. But I thought I remembered hearing somewhere that like one of the triangle
there's a very, very
were in the sky and like people finally filmed it.
There's a very clear video of the thing they call the Tic Tac.
Yeah.
And that was the guy, the U.S. Navy pilot who was on Rogan, and he was flying next to it. They were photographing it. And he explains that you could see the way it's moving. There's no propulsion coming out of it. So it's literally moving on its own.
But like video or the radar blip?
No, it's video. It's black and white video. You can watch. You can Google it right now and watch it. And the thing is like so close to the water. He goes, there's no way any man-made craft would fly like that. And then the thing just zips off in a weird direction without changing course or anything like that.
And then you have the Black Knight satellite.
What's that?
Black Knight satellite.
You don't know about that?
Have we talked about this?
We have talked about it, and this is deja vu because I've been like, Black Knight satellite. What's Black Knight satellite? You haven't heard of that? Black Knight satellite is this satellite that no one has claimed ownership to in our solar system.
And it's not the same Oumuamua thing?
No.
That came in? Okay. Because they theorize that could just be, it could be of alien origin, but it could be alien garbage that just sort of floated in.
Yeah. Let's see here. It's this thing. And it's shown up in our atmosphere multiple times in multiple locations. Yeah,
not just
multiple times, multiple locations, and no one claims ownership. No government, no like country, no one claims ownership, says they don't know what it is, and it just floats and kind of pops all over our atmosphere, shows up every couple of 10 years. Like,
oh fuck.
Yeah.
I'd like to read more about that. That sounds quite interesting.
There's another picture of it.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen you mention that perhaps.
It's very interesting.
Well, I'll tell you something here, just to put a statistic out there. This I will read. I'll try not to make this too wordy. We're going to put a picture of this up on our Instagram. But so you guys are aware, widely that there was a hilarious book written. I want to give some context for this because this is not coming from a fucking scientific journal. Okay.
Looks like it.
A hilarious book was written a long time ago called Real Ultimate Power. It's about ninjas. And it's so funny. It was
It's
written,
about ninjas?
It was written, I bought it at Books A Million. It was written by a guy who calls himself Robert Hamburger. Now, I don't know if that was his actual name, but
Bob's Burgers.
it was the funniest book ever written
Okay.
by a long shot.
Because isn't he like
It's the funniest
14
thing.
and he talks about like his ninja powers?
He's
and,
an
like,
adult that writes like a 14-year-old kid that quit taking his Ritalin.
yeah.
And it's got appendixes. Like one is a book report about Benjamin Franklin written on, and another one written off Ritalin. And the one off Ritalin, he has sex with a turtle.
And there's editorial notes that his babysitter.
Oh my God!
Sounds like a brony.
Like the editor like notes that the babysitter writes in, and then like he argues with the babysitter in the editor notes. Like
It's so funny.
I've never heard of this.
It was the first time any bought me a book. Somebody bought it for me for my birthday. Our friend Clark Franklin. And he said, "This is the funniest book ever." And I was like, "What?" And I wound up reading it by myself, cackling out loud like a crazy person. Anyway, the sequel to that book, which is not nearly as funny, and he changed his name to Trey Hamburger, is this book called Ghosts/Aliens. And in the book, he gets real worked up about aliens like he did in the first book about ninjas. And he starts writing letters to all these people that are actually members of like NASA, members of the CIA, members of the government, and they respond. He prints the letters. Okay, now he's just making fun of him in this, but listen to this one. This is the very end of the book. He wrote a book to somebody named Thomas Siebold, and he worked at Oppenheimer University in Michigan.
Okay.
And he was part of the planetary program or something like that. This is from 2008. But he responds, "Dear Mr. Hamburger, I can only calculate the probability that there exists life elsewhere in the universe. You may be surprised at the results." And then what follows to me was shocking when I first read it. Okay. A radio astronomer named Frank Drake created an equation to roughly calculate the number of potential technically advanced civilizations in our galaxy. Okay, so let's stop and break that down for a minute. That means the Milky Way galaxy, not our solar system, but this entire galaxy, and the number of like civilizations that are at least as smart as us or smarter. So really technically advanced. Okay, which is generally you say there's just very little chance of this happening anywhere else in the universe, but he did this by multiplying these factors. Okay, follow me on this one. Starting with the number of stars in our galaxy, which is 100 billion, times the fraction of stars that have planets, which is 50%. Okay, times the average number of planets that could support life, which is 2 per star. So let's times the fraction of all the above planets where life could evolve, which is 100% of the planets that can support life that evolved on it. Times, you can follow when we put this picture up, times the fraction of the above planets where intelligence could evolve, which is 1%. About 1% of all the above planets will have intelligent life on it. Times the fraction of the above planets that could where the intelligent life is so intelligent that it could communicate, times the amount of time the civilizations that could communicate would actually survive, which would mean they would last 10,000 years or more. Mm-hmm. Okay? So the resulting number of all this, starting with 100 billion stars, is 10. There's a chance of about 10 advanced civilizations throughout the galaxies. And although the exact figures of these factors are unknown, they were calculated by very, very intelligent people. That's just our galaxy. He goes on to say, there are 100 billion galaxies in our universe. So as a scientific authority, I think I can safely say the likelihood that advanced life exists outside of Earth is nearly certain. And he goes on and on and on. And the funny thing is, Robert writes back, this dude thinks stuff exists that doesn't exist, and he's sending the letter back. But that's pretty good. Mm-hmm. That's 10 chances for there to be a civilization at least like us in this galaxy. And then like 100 billion times more of that throughout the universe. What do you think?
I mean, think about how far we are from Alpha Centauri. How many light years are we from Alpha Centauri?
Is that the next closest big star?
12 parsecs, I think.
So
what the fuck is a parsec?
So using,
is that the stuff they put on the side of your plate that you never eat?
No, it's a Star Wars reference.
Oh.
So
You're so upset.
I hate you. So we've talked about this before. Looking at Mars is about, it's 8.3 light minutes away from the sun.
Light minutes.
Is Mars. Okay, so we're 8.3 minutes from the sun, light years.
In terms of light years, which
Yes.
is insanity. How
And
fast that would go.
Mars is 12.7. So technically speaking, if you're looking at Mars through a telescope, you're seeing it 12 minutes in the past. So if an explosion happened on Mars in real time, but you're looking at a telescope from Earth, you would see it 12 minutes after it actually happened.
Yeah.
With that being said, you look outside of our solar system with these massive telescopes and see things that are years behind us.
So many years behind us.
And they're like, well, there's no advanced life that we can see through the telescope. It's like, well, no shit, because technically in their lifetime, they might be advanced, but we're watching them from 1,000 years ago. Think about where we were 1,000 years ago.
That's right. That's 100% right.
Yeah,
And the
Fisher
light
learned
that
a
we
lot.
see from the sun is ancient.
Yeah.
You know, like our own sun. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's very interesting.
And there's so many Earth-like planets in the surrounding like solar systems around us. Not only that, but outside the Milky Way galaxy, there's so many planets that could sustain life because of how close it is to the sun of their star, and whether or not they have water from looking at the telescope.
Yeah, and what's crazy about that that letter that guy wrote, he said that the average length of an advanced civilization is about 10,000 years. Mm-hmm. Not a species, because there's obviously things that have survived on Earth for millions and millions of years, but an advanced civilization, and think about it, there's never been an advanced civilization that we know of that lasted longer than 10,000 years before it destroyed itself. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what does that say about us?
Honestly, my thought is if you think two things. If you think,
when do you think we became advanced? Like, when would you?
I don't think we're technically advanced.
3000 BC.
I wouldn't call us
We had
really
math.
advanced.
The Egyptians had math.
I mean, yeah, we're
only
doing
be half that.
great, but we still can't travel space.
Yeah, but an advanced civilization is one that's self-aware.
So even if you went
It's
with a
one that has-
3000 BC, that'd be 5,000 years at this point.
Okay.
So, for instance, like
So half that life.
the ancient Egyptians and the ancient mathematicians, the Greeks and whatnot, were able to calculate the circumference of the Earth by studying shadows. And that, to me, that's pretty advanced compared to like animals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which there's a big debate on even when an animal becomes self-aware. You know, but I would say like a self-aware species. This is super complicated. This goes into like psychology, like when a thing is actually sentient and not just aware. You know, like your cat is aware, your dog is aware, but they're not self-aware.
Yeah.
So there's things like that. So if we call that an advanced civilization, and when we stopped literally being cavemen, who were still pretty smart, they had fire, they had all, even before we were actually
The wheel.
our species, we were inventing things. But let's say that it didn't even start until, 3000 BC, when we were building pyramids, we were using pretty advanced math, things like that. Then how many more years do we have to go?
5
We're
by
probably
that
about,
count.
we're probably about halfway through, which makes sense because about halfway through we're reaching our most violent state, and so from here on out, you would have to hope that from here moving forward we would start moving towards a more peaceful existence before something would just take us out.
Or God just gets sick of us and like the Atlanteans just...
Yeah. So that's
Down
what I
in
want
it.
to say. I have two things. One, if you think that we're the only conscious, self-aware anomaly in the solar system, the galaxy, the universe, and you think that having it acknowledged that we're not somehow ruins your religious beliefs and faiths of what you've grown up with, you're a fool. You're an idiot if you think that we're alone, completely alone in this universe. There's no way scientifically, mathematically, it just doesn't make sense. They may never come and talk to us because we're too violent, which is shown on a day-to-day basis. But yeah, no, there's no way we're alone, and it'd be really hard to change my mind on that.
I would hazard to agree, but be gentler on it, to say if you're going to think that we're the only ones, that part maybe you're not a fool because we
I'm
don't
never
know.
gentle about anything when I say on this podcast.
But if you do think that considering such beliefs would discount or disqualify your personal faith, I could side with you on that one. So like that, the religious text that you choose to follow in whatever religion a person subscribes to is not predicated on whether or not there are intelligent life in the universe outside of this place. It's predicated on what they left you to follow and what you decided to follow.
I also tend to fall on that side of things too, like that. Do you guys believe in any of like weird like alien and ancient religious like intermingling? Like, what do you think about like the Nephilim? And all
I
that
love
stuff?
the Nephilim.
Well, I mean, you have ancient
There's
Egypt.
a lot of religious mythology too, and a lot of people say it has to do with the presence of aliens. Wait, some people think Jesus was an alien.
Ridley Scott does.
Yeah,
Really?
Scott. Yeah.
No shit.
He's talked about like the original sequel idea to Prometheus was like them going, why would they make this death machine related to the alien?
Well, and they think that like the mount, like where Moses would go, they think
Yeah.
that well, how come he was the only one that could go up there? Because there was some kind of a machine that communicated with like the mothership, or so people think that there's a lot of things like that.
Well, you have cave writings and drawings and like ancient pictures of these like weird shaped people in front of what looks like a computer pulling levers. And then like, I mean, there's even ancient aliens talked about how when people talk about angels, that it could have been some like a being that just flew, like was able to fly.
Sure.
I still don't think that discredits,
I'm in the same boat as you.
because even if there was extraterrestrial mingling in religious text, what you pull away from it and how it like far we've gone with it, it still has the same meaning.
I tend to feel the same way. I think it's weird when people don't think that. They don't think that there's like a continuity of message to religious text, whatever religion you're talking about. I found that weird. Like that people think that the authenticity of like Jesus or something has only to do with like how dirty he was and how terrestrial his clothes might have been, and you know what I'm saying. Like if it turns out he's not this dirty bastard from Jerusalem or something, that all of a sudden it throws off the entire text. Maybe there was something extraterrestrial like that, but I think the same thing too. Like the charge and the message are kind of still the same, but a lot. Again, I'm not a biblical scholar, and we're just for the listeners, we're just pontificating here. Like, are there things in the heavens? Have they been here before?
Use a $1 word.
Are they still here? I don't know. We'd like to hear what you
the
guys
Ancient
think.
Aliens TV show, I know it's most of the time it's pretty ridiculous.
Is it real? See, I've always meant to like, I should watch that, and then I don't.
You should.
It's pretty. Most of it's pretty ridiculous and far fetched. However, sometimes they hit the nail on the head and make you go, "Huh." Like
I've seen it once where they were like, "Look, there's this weird slot in the pyramid, and this could have been where they landed a ship," but then they don't really follow that. Like, why would it have been? And
I need to find out the exact name, and I'd have to text somebody to figure out what exactly the location is called. But there's a place in Siberia where they were doing like excavation, like digging up soil and doing like soil research. And under a microscope, they noticed that there was tiny springs and like little, basically like
mechanical parts,
but so small and fine that it didn't make sense. And it was also in such an unrealistic area where no one's really lived before. And so that would, like, they say, they feel like that could lead to there was an advanced civilization who maybe lived on this planet before we all came about.
I've read about a lot of that stuff, and that really good. That might be a good part too.
Graham Hancock.
Does Graham know a lot about
Graham Hancock
ancient?
On Joe Rogan talks all about ancient advanced civilizations who were far advanced, more advanced than we were, living on our planet way before we came.
There's a book called Disneyland of the Gods where they talk about the people that lived in America way before Native Americans, indigenous peoples, Eskimos, whatever you want to call them. Like, there's evidence of a very thriving, highly technological society on this continent before anybody
that was naturally wiped out, and the fossil record is buried under like
I don't know. See, I don't know what
levels.
I don't know where there's any fossil record. Apparently, they were kind of
that's
driven
what
out.
Casey's talking about. That guy talks about this.
Oh, okay.
There's evidence to show that there was an extinction event that predates like dinosaurs, even or predates. Sorry, not. It's post dinosaurs, but predates like our earliest evidence.
I wonder
of
why
man.
they would still be finding dinosaur bones and not finding their bones, though.
No, all worthy questions, but just
I'm sure that guy addresses that.
Well, you also have to think about maybe they left.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people think is they just left. They went south. They were driven out of the Americas by the Native Americans that came over.
Yeah,
early, very primitive civilizations actually fought them for land and drove them off.
Well, and you also have, I mean, this is
they were called
factual. This
the
is not a
moon-eyed
theory.
people. Yeah.
Oh, the moon-eyed people. That's another thing Graham Hancock talks about. But this is an actual factual thing where in Greenland, is it Greenland or Iceland? I always get those confused, where the ice is melting because of global warming.
Yeah.
They have unearthed or uniced a crater, a massive crater, where no scientist knew that another asteroid had hit our planet before. But this looks like that the size of this crater would have been a catastrophic event in the Earth's history, but the crater's been buried under ice for so long that no one knew
no
about
evidence of it. Yeah, man, I tell you, I love that. I love when science has to double back on itself like that. Not that I'm trying to discredit science. I'm just saying, like, every time we make a discovery, it changes the narrative. Like it kind of rewrites history. And I think it's always still exciting that there's still something to be discovered, and there's potentially an answer, and we're right around the corner from a cure or whatever like that. I feel like there's a lot of reasons to be hopeful, and maybe we'll kind of start to wrap the episode up on that note.
Well, and I want to say that what we're talking about, we're not saying that it's a finite thing. We're not saying we 100% believe what we say.
No, I'm just asking.
We're just asking questions and having a conversation about it.
A lot of people said aliens were real this year. There was a lot of shit that...
But I don't want people to listen to this episode and be like, those guys are insane. It's like, we like talking about this because it's fascinating.
Yeah, I have not seen one.
But I'm not leaving here writing a book of a new religion that's based on ancient aliens.
And I cannot show you an alien. I have not seen an alien.
I'm not either. But this is a fun conversation.
Yeah.
I enjoy these.
I do too. Let's get more into the unknown. What are some other great mysteries we can uncover in 2021?
Murder hornets and Australian wildfires.
That was last year.
Oh, sorry.
No, Beacon House is now shining the light on the unknown. That's not anything to do with 2020. If it ever happened in 2020, it's out.
Also, we'll still talk about movies and music.
Yay.
And food. I want to talk about food sometimes.
Does this mean like that? Because I understand politics was real big last year because of the election, but now going into 2021, can we go back to not
talking about politics so much?
I just want like a week, like a week's worth of episodes. I want 7 episodes.
Okay, well, let's get to February because we're getting a new president.
Happy New Year.
Oh, no.